Hello, and welcome to Maths Tales from Maths Week Scotland. My name's Gillian from Museum on the Mount, and today I want to tell you the story of one of the most incredibly intelligent people who ever lived in this country. His name was John Napier, and he lived in Edinburgh over 400 years ago. Even though he lived such a long time ago, we still use lots of his ideas today. He was a mathematician and came up with lots of ways to make maths simpler. He's probably most famous for inventing something called logarithms. You're going to find out about those in high school. But he created other things too. He came up with Napier's pentagon, for example. That's to help trigonometry. And also he did things like Napier's bones, not his skeleton. Napier's bones are things that help you with multiplication. He was so clever. He was known as Marvellous Merchiston. Marvellous because he was, and Merchiston after the castle he owned in Edinburgh. A bit of it's still there today. He came up with all sorts of things, so many clever ideas that people thought no human being could come up with that on their own. There must be something funny about him. Maybe there's more to him than meets the eye. You see, when he lived in the 16th and 17th century, people were very superstitious. They believed in witches, and wizards, and magicians. And some people thought that John was a magician too. One that didn't help this was the fact that he had an unusual pet. Just like witches are said to have black cats, John was said to have something he could speak to the devil through. May I introduce you to his pet? He was a black cockerel, and he loved his black cockerel. They spent all day together. He would sit on his desk while he was working. He'd wake him up in the morning. They'd have long chats. I mean, don't you speak to your pets? Now, he wasn't speaking to the devil through his cockerel. That's ridiculous. But sometimes it didn't do any harm to have people think he might be scarier than he actually is. Now, this came in very handy when he discovered that someone was stealing from him at Merchiston Castle. He had to figure out who it was, and he decided to get his cockerel to help. He lined up everyone in the household in a room and said to him, "Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to send you into another dark room where only my cockerel is. I want you to touch my cockerel and say aloud, 'I am not the thief.' He's going to know which of you is telling the truth and which is lying, and he's going to tell me." One by one, the household went into the room, and eventually the last person came out, followed by the cockerel, who hopped up to John's ear. "Oh, really?" he said, and he pointed at one of his servants. "You're the thief. I know you are." And the servant was terrified and immediately admitted to the crime. He was the thief. John, no. Did mention he was really clever. He wasn't a magician. He had taken his cockerel and he'd covered the bird in a layer of soot. So if you'd actually touched the cockerel and told the truth, the hand would be filthy. The only person with a clean hand was the thief who'd been too scared in case the cockerel had told John Napier he'd been stealing. So John Napier, well, he was very clever. He was a mathematician, but he wasn't a magician. And he truly was marvellous. Thanks for joining me for today's Maths Tale. See you soon.